Hey, my name is Ruben Dua from Dubb. This is the Action Online Summit event, and I am so proud to announce our next guest, Lily. So Lily is going to be talking to us about the future of work, the future of education, but also how to have a lifestyle business and portfolio career. I have with me Rob Botts. Hi, everybody. And let's get into this. So Lily, if you could start, that would be great.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. An area I'm really passionate about is how do you build and incorporate work around the lifestyle that you want, the lifestyle of your dreams. So I call it a lifestyle business. And I'm also really exploring this theme of portfolio careers. I'm an executive coach. I run a consulting business called Glio. We work with businesses, big tech, big pharma. We also work with entrepreneurs and with governments. And we're always looking at supporting leaders to build the lifestyle and the work-life balance that they really want. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today.
And then could you please define what a portfolio career is?
Sure. So the idea of a portfolio career is when you are involved in various different gigs or projects or types of work. And we typically imagine a portfolio career starting as a third career. So after you've had perhaps success in the corporate world or in the public sector, typically people in their 50s, 60s start getting board positions. They may start teaching jobs. They may invest in businesses. What we're seeing today is that this kind of career can start a lot earlier. You could be an influencer, you could have a side hustle where you invest in certain businesses, you could be on boards, you could be teaching, you could be doing all of that in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 20s.
Very cool. And then let's define a lifestyle business.
A lifestyle business is where you think about the lifestyle that you want to have. So, what do you value? What's important to you? And then you build your work around that, as opposed to focusing on your work and building your life around that. So, the difference being if you enjoy and really would like to have more time with family members like your, I don't know, children, partners, etc., or more time in nature, the idea of creating a working day that allows for that and being intentional about how you do that and being smart about how you do that. So that is how I would define a lifestyle business.
Okay. Now, traditionally, when I think about starting a business, I think about solving some sort of a problem and then figuring out the product or the solution and the service, whatnot, and then try to scale it up. Now, what you're presenting to us when starting a business is sort of reverse engineering the lifestyle first. How do I want my lifestyle to be? Do I want travel? What type of flexibility do I want? Do I want to work from home? Explain how we can align those two things with problem and solution, and also what our goals are individually.
That's a really good point. And I think the idea of structuring a business around what is the problem I'm solving for, what is the solution I'm offering the world, remains the same. It's just the way you go about running your business or indeed working for others, right? So the way you do that is that you imagine incorporating the hours that you want to work on your business or that you want to work for others or that you want to work across a portfolio so that they fit in with the life design that you want, which could include, as you said, travel and all the other things we discussed.
That makes sense. So what have you crafted for your life?
That's a good question. It's work in progress. I run this consulting business called Glio. It's called Glio because Glio means joyful disposition in Old English. And I think typically we spend 90,000 hours at work in our lifetime. So the idea of bringing an element of joy and energy into it is really important. And what I do at Glio is that I do consulting, I do facilitated content, and I do executive coaching. I have a huge team of coaches and consultants and experts that work with me, and we serve our clients. And whilst our focus is 100% on our clients, and they could be CEOs of tech companies or startups, I run the business so that at 3 I clock off, so that I get to spend at least 4 hours with my children. And then if I need to, I clock on again at the end of the day. I also ensure that in the morning I have time to do the things I care about. So I do cold plunges and infrared saunas. They're very LA, I know, but it's very important to me to run the business this way. The business I used to run in the UK called My Bank took over my life. So it was my life being designed around the business as opposed to the business being designed around my life.
Mm.
It must be amazing for your clients to see you, walking the talk, in terms of, what you recommend for your clients, and you're doing that literally with your life.
It is amazing for them, and in many ways, I think they aspire to that. I also want to put it out that it's not possible for everybody to have this lifestyle, but it's something that we can work towards achieving. And with the onset of this virtual work environment, right, what I call the living room leader, based on a book actually that a dear friend of mine wrote, you can start to shape your day and your ebbs and flows around work in a way that is more suited to your life. We're seeing this even in your typical 9 to 5 job for big corporates.
Now, I think that there's some judgment that sometimes gets passed when people have too much work-life balance, when they're enjoying a session in the jacuzzi, midday, or taking a day off to go snowboarding. Um, how can we have people be inspired when they understand our diverse lifestyle and how we work hard, we play hard, as opposed to seeing us as not working as hard as we should be working?
I think it's a definition of hard work, right? And also, what do you want the return on your investment to be? So you have a finite number of hours in the day, and if success looks like using all of those hours to achieve certain work goals, then that's brilliant because you're following your sense of and your ideals around success. So I don't place any value on people who choose to have a very intense work-oriented life. It's very much what I did throughout my 20s, and I'm very happy that I did that. But I also think there are other models and opportunities. And so you will always have people that judge the workaholics, and you will always have people that judge those that prioritize other things over work. Ultimately, it's about what you stand for, what your values are, and what makes you happy. And you know what? It can change over time. I mean, we're very dynamic beings, right? So it could be that for a period of your life, this excites you, and you want to have a lifestyle business, and then you want to move into more of a portfolio career. You can mix and match it, and that's what I love about the world of work today. It is so different to the world of work of my parents' generation, where they simply didn't have these options. So I think my point is, choose an option that really suits your needs. Don't look back and say, I wish I had done it differently.
Lily, when typically does the light bulb moment happen for your clients? Is there a certain stage in, what they're entering with you where it's like you just see it in their eyes, like, oh, I get it, and this is amazing.
The light bulb moment often comes when you start talking about the opportunities and the possibilities of doing things slightly differently, right? You're not stuck in one job. I always talk about system thinking, not job thinking. You might be the CEO of your company, but how are you impacting the ecosystem around you? What legacy are you leaving on the wider sector? And how can we create opportunities to amplify your thoughts, your voice? It's an important voice, but only people in your business are hearing it. So I often support leaders to develop other ways in which they can communicate with the world, whether it's micro-publishing, whether it's through speaking, social media, teaching, mentoring, right? And suddenly this world of opportunity comes up, advising. There are many options, and we can be versatile in the way that we have an impact in the ecosystem around us. So today's leaders are not only about the day-to-day of their business. I think they almost have a role and a responsibility to impact a wider ecosystem.
Very nice. Okay, so what if you connected with someone who was a prospective client, and you learned that this person is successful in their career, but they're not happy, right?
Mhm.
They're not living the life that they want to live. They're stressed. They're overworked. They're riddled with fear, even though they might not be aware of that. They're constantly in a scarcity mindset, even though they're doing fine.
Mm.
and they're not really able to find that level of happiness. How would you coach them? How would you guide them to actually be happy where they are, or make changes so that they can be happy?
Happiness is important, and I think um, often a lot of the things you described are not so much to do with our external, what I call the doing, but much more to do with the being. So we may have some limiting patterns that get in the way of us making certain choices that affect the external way that our lives play out. And so often I would work with, as a coach, I work both on the doing and the being. So we look at, what are some of the bigger feelings that are coming up for you? You mentioned fear. You mentioned a scarcity mindset. How do we work to address? I always think it's very important to identify with those feelings and patterns, and then to start reimagining them. And to reimagine them, one of the things I do a lot is to put people in touch with others, right? Which is why these kind of videos and podcasts are so important, because you can hear about other people's experiences. And if they're a near to peer, if there's somebody that's not too dissimilar from you, you can think about, actually, I could start crafting my own way towards something like that. So I do a lot of role modeling, and I bring a lot of people from my network into the coaching experience with my clients.
Lily, how do you we're big here at Dubb on humanity. Humanity is like one of the biggest phrases we use with our communication that we do, seeing the other person, having that connection. How do you bring humanity to what you do in terms of your communication with your clients? Like, how do you bring that humanity factor every day?
So for me, my relationship with my clients is one of the most beautiful things I ever experienced, which is why I spend 60% of my time on that and the rest on building out the business. It is an intimate, very special relationship. The coaching partnership allows you to come into contact with a person in their deepest fears, but also through, partnering with them along their greatest aspirations. And so for me, the humanity is I walk into every meeting suspending judgment. I walk into every meeting with a client, meeting them exactly where they are. And often often I am there almost in silence to bear witness to what they are experiencing. And that's really quite powerful, because in our working lives we don't often have that, and it's very easy, especially as you grow into leadership roles, to experience a sense of, I'm quite alone in this.
We had a question from a live viewer asking more about the cold plunge and the sort of sauna experience that you do. Very LA. We're both in Los Angeles, so we both have our versions of this, but I'd love to learn more.
Okay, so it's a new thing that I started and that I'm really into right now. The idea is this, the body does really well with alternating. So we do well with alternating between hot and cold, between sleep and being awake, between fasting and eating, right? So the hot and cold was one I hadn't explored. And I go to a place called Pause. It's in Venice. There are various ones in LA, but you can also recreate something similar in your own home. I spend 20 minutes in the infrared sauna. It's beautiful because it's light heat, so you remain fairly dry. It's a very beautiful experience. I put on one of my favorite podcasts, or I read something that I love. It's my hour for myself. I then plunge for about 1 minute. I go back into the sauna. I do that as many times as I want to. And then I end my session with 3 minutes. I play usually a song and I stay in the cold plunge for 3 minutes, which really helps to relax all of my muscles. And it's not easy to do at first, but you kind of get a little bit hooked.
Okay, so I have a hot shower at the house and I have a cold pool. Is there a world where I could just emulate this at my own house without having to go to Santa Monica?
Well, you could, but you're just not going to have the huge temperature differences. I mean,
Right.
You could even just do it all in the shower, just go really hot.
I actually do that.
Oh,
I have a big proponent of taking cold showers. I usually start it takes my shower about 4 minutes to heat up because of the upstairs and the distance from the water heater, and we don't have like a great circulator, but I sort of leaned into it. Now I enjoy it. where I start with a cold shower and then it goes to a hot shower, and it's nice. And I actually end with the cold shower as well. So I'm a fan of this.
Yes, I am too.
So where can people learn more about you, about your agency? How can they connect with you on social channels?
So LinkedIn is a space where I'm fairly active. Lily Pena, so LILYLAPENNA. The organization that I founded is called Gleo Group, and Gleo is spelled GLEOW. Very hard for many to pronounce, and I understand why completely. And yeah, we work with clients globally, and it's really a labor of love for all of us on the team.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will be sharing your LinkedIn account in the notes, in the comments. So we encourage people to connect with you on LinkedIn to learn more about Gleo and to learn how to spell it. And if they're so willing to take the cold plunge.
Yes, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, likewise. Stick around for some production notes. Thanks so much.
Okay.